This is weekly Forex forecast from Forex Trading Wizard Academy. This is Forex Wizard, your trading coach. I will be doing a complete multi-time frame analysis of all the hottest currency pairs, cryptocurrencies and indices that we will be looking to trade next week. Now, the list is a bit longer as usual. Don't worry, I will put a time stamp in the description area. But I will suggest you to watch all of them. As you have seen, in my last week analysis, most of the pairs did according to the analysis. Let me show you a clip from the gold analysis that I did in my past weekly Forex forecast. Day of trading week, long week, daily candle. So what I think that gold might do, if you look the intraday or 4 hour, that the price may drop even from here directly, as the price on the 4 hour has tested this 20 period moving average, and this is a strongly, if you look at the market structure, you see the price was respecting this resistance and it could drop from here. There is one possibility. You can see that this is the daily chart on gold, and the price did exactly according to the analysis. The price dropped where it is predicted from, exactly from that point to the downside. Smash the like button now. And I sincerely believe that if you watch that week's weekly Forex forecast, you made money from it. And we also made money with our VIP students in this trade. Now let's see what we have this week in this list, starting with British Pound US Dollar, EURCAD, GBP, JPY, NZDCAD, dollar Swiss franc, euro dollar, dollar yen, USDZAR, NZDUSD, USOIL, USDCAD, AUDCAD, Aussie yen, gold, DXY, BTCUSD, Ethereum USD, EUROCHF, CADJPY, US30 and US100. With that being said, let's begin this week's weekly Forex forecast. Okay guys, so let's begin with British Pound US Dollar. As usual, we will be starting our analysis with the higher time frame. Why? Because monthly and weekly will give you a clear direction in the market, and daily, 4 hour or intraday time frame or even lower time frame we can use for entry. Now if you look at the bigger picture, British Pound US Dollar, no doubt it's a strongly falling market. This is the monthly candle. This is the second week of the month. Still there is a lot remaining in this monthly candle. Now what I think that British Pound US Dollar is still, it is bearish and it is still likely to drop. So from this monthly candle we cannot predict exactly what will happen next week, as we need to look at the weekly candle. Now, if you look at the weekly candle, this is where we see that there is a possibility, high probability of dropping on GBPUSD. Now the question is where it should drop. Now before we answer this question, first let's look at the price action pattern. What happened? The market structure you can see on GBPUSD without any question. If you look at this weekly time frame, there is a double top and then drop, followed by retracement, drop, followed by retracement, drop, followed by this green dodgy retracement. Now we can see that another drop. So it's a creating a series of lower high and lower low. It's a strongly downtrending market. Now looking at the daily time frame, what we see that on the daily, we saw that British Pound US Dollar past day. Okay, before we go to the daily, let me look at something else on the weekly. You can see that weekly, the previous week, we saw a bearish engulfer. This is a textbook bearish engulfer. I like this kind of bearish engulfer because it has crossed the previous narrow dodges high and then crossed the low, closed as a bearish engulfer. It's a sign of strong move down. Now this week what we have seen that GBPUSD has created a middleman. What I call a middleman is when you see that a long wick at the top, long wick at the bottom, narrow body at in the middle. It's what I name as a middleman. Now this middleman basically tested this previous, you see that the previous support here. This is the previous support as a resistance, and then this middleman is formed. So it is a high probability that British Pound US Dollar will drop. Now the question is where it is dropping. There are two possibilities. One, as you can see, this candle closed almost past this trend line. So One possibility is to open with a gap and continue to drop drastically to the downside. Another possibility is probably open with a gap up, or after opening going up, probably testing this zone here. This is a resistance and then dropping from here. Now looking at the daily, now we can see what is probability. Now if it drops from here, what I think that this is the daily chart, we might see that GBPUSD respecting this top of the daily doji, and from here it is dropping down. Another possibility, as I told you, maybe we will see a drop and then rise testing this zone and then finally dropping. Now looking at the intraday or 4 hour, what we have seen that, so this is where I will be watching price section for possible shorting opportunity. If I see that in the first session of the Asian session on the weekly opening, this level is being respected, probably creating a double top on the 4 hour time frame, then I will be considering going short on GBPUSD to the downside with a high risk to reward ratio. On the other hand, if I see that British Pound US dollar broke this level, then I will be waiting for a further confirmation for a test of this head and shoulder on the 4 hour. You can see there is a head and shoulder, and we could probably see a test of this previous support here as a resistance, and probably we could see that GBPUSD is dropping from here to the downside. And then this is the two zone that we will be looking to trade GBPUSD to the downside with a high risk to reward ratio. Now let's look at EURCAD, how we can trade. Now EURCAD, you see that this is the 4 hour time frame. Let's look at first of all bigger picture, and then we'll see how we can trade. Looking at the monthly EURCAD, without any question, this is a strongly bearish market. Now if you look at the higher time frame, this is the monthly, you can see that this is a very, very strongly bearish market. There is a pin bar here on the monthly time frame, and then we saw that every month EURCAD is creating series of lower high and then started to drop down. Now the previous months, the 3 months ago, we saw a doji has been formed on EURCAD. Now at this point, we saw that after this doji, there is another doji has been formed on the monthly, created a lower high on the monthly, and then broke this level of support this current month. So what we could see in the lower time frame, we could probably see a retest of this important level of support. Here you can see that as a resistance, and then we could see that EURCAD is dropping. This is based on monthly. Now if you look at the weekly, we see that past week is the candle that has broken this very, very strong important level of support. So after this is the weekly close, and we can expect now the price to go up and test this previous support as a resistance and then continue to drop. Now looking at the daily, what we see that on the daily time frame, there is a doji has been formed. Now this kind of doji may create two kind of a situation. The first situation could be that the price could drop from here again to the downside. Another situation is the price will go up to test this previous support as resistance and then to drop. So now looking at the intraday or 4 hour time frame, so what we will be doing with our students is, first of all, we will look for possible shorting opportunity. If we see that EURCAD is respecting this trend line, then we might see that EURCAD is dropping from here to the downside in the first move. If we see on the other hand EURCAD has broken this resistance, this local trend line, then we might see that EURCAD is drastically going up to test this previous that we see the monthly and weekly previous support as resistance, and then we could see that EURCAD is dropping from here. So these are the two zones that we will be possibly waiting for a shorting opportunity. As this is a long-term bearish market, we will not consider going long on EURCAD. Now let's look at GBPJPY. As you can see, this is GBPJPY. Looking at the monthly time frame, now what we see that GBPJPY, there is a monthly candle that we see. This is still 3 weeks remaining. This is the first month of GBPJPY, first week of the month, and we see that on the monthly GBPJPY has created a higher low and then created this long wick on the monthly time frame. And what I think that GBPJPY will continue to rise up, as this is a long-term bullish market creating a series of higher low. Now looking at the weekly, we saw that there is a contradiction in the price action. First of all, on the monthly we see that it's a long-term bullish market, but we saw a drop. Now because it's a weekly, we are considering this week only. Now this week the price action looks like that in a sideways or a bearish. Now you see that this is the weekly doji. Now this doji, what is likely to happen in the next week, this upcoming week? What I think that GBPJPY will remain in between this support and resistance, and what I think it might create a higher low here and lower high, and then it might create another doji. So with that said, let's look at the daily time frame, what kind of price action it has created in GBPJPY. As you can see, this is the daily doji here. So what I think that GBPJPY first from here will drop, as looks like GBP will get weaker and then will rise up and then will drop. So it might move in this support and resistance. So because it's a long-term bullish market, what I will be doing for GBPJPY, as you can see, there are two long wick candle here, and it might create a higher low on the weekly time frame, on the daily time frame, and that is what I will be waiting for GBPJPY to come back to this level of support. As soon as I will find possible longing opportunity, then I will go long with a high risk to reward ratio. Now let's look at NZDCAD, how it is doing. Looking at the monthly, what we see that NZDCAD, first of all, it also a very strongly bearish market. You can see that first of all, there is a middleman here tested this previous support on the monthly time frame, this support here, okay, as a resistance, and then created this middleman. After that, we saw that there is a monthly bearish candle. Now this month, as soon as the market opened, we saw first of all a big bearish move. Now considering the weekly time frame, we saw that this is the weekly time frame, and the price basically tested this previous support here. Okay, this you can see that the previous support here, this is the support here, now tested as resistance, and we saw that there is a narrow doji has been formed. So it's a strongly bearish market followed by this weaker doji, signing that there could be another strong drop. So NZDCAD is showing us a shorting opportunity. Now looking at the daily time frame, we saw that there is a possible trading opportunity on the daily time frame in NZDCAD. What is that? We see that NZDCAD has created a double doji with a lower high and lower low in this strongly falling market. Now what I think NZDCAD might do in the new trading week, it might go for a spike to the upside, probably will test this 20 period on the daily time frame, this moving average, and then we could possibly see a drop, or we could possibly see still creating a lower high and then drop. So these are the two zones that we will be looking for price action for potential shorting opportunity according to the rules of our strategy for going short on NZDCAD with a high risk to reward ratio. Okay, so let's look at USDCHF, starting with first of all bigger picture on the monthly time frame. Now monthly, what we see that USDCHF past month created this doji. Now after this doji, what we have seen that as soon as the new monthly candle open, we saw that a move to the upside. So with that in mind, we can say that USDCHF is continue to rise even in the next week. So if you look at the weekly, we have seen that after this weekly narrow doji, we have seen a strong bullish candle has been formed. Now this is what exactly I have mentioned in all my analysis. Now what is likely to happen next? What I think that USDCHF might come for a retracement to the downside, probably to this level of support, and from this zone we might see that USDCHF again pushing high. So looking at the daily, now you can see that already there is a big move on the daily time frame, and there is a possible level of support here. So what I think in the new trading week, that USDCHF might drop to this level where there is a day, 4-hour 20 period moving average, and from this zone we could see that USDCHF is moving to the upside, and that is what I will be waiting for, possible deeper retracement to the downside. As soon as I will find proper entry point along this zone, then I will be considering going long on USDCHF with a high risk to reward ratio with our students. Now let's look at euro dollar. Now euro dollar, as you can see, this is the intraday or 4-hour time frame. This week we have closed 2 profitable trade on euro dollar. Now let's look at how we can find a trading opportunity in the new week. Now looking at the monthly, you see that euro dollar, this is what exactly I expect in my previous weekly forex forecast, that euro dollar is likely to break this very important level of support, and we have seen that euro dollar did exactly as it is. We have seen that euro dollar has broken this historical level of support on the monthly, and what I think that it will continue to drop. Now looking at the weekly, you have seen this is the weekly candle that has been closed. Now what is likely to happen in the new trading week? What I think that first we might see a drop, and then we could see a rise, a test of this previous support as a resistance, and then drop again. So with that in mind, if you look at the daily, you see that daily there is already a doji has been formed on euro dollar, looks like a pin bar at the bottom. But what I think that euro dollar is still bearish from this zone. As you can see, it couldn't break this pin bars, this doji's high, this red candle. And if you look at the intraday or 4-hour time frame, so what I think that euro dollar might probably test the same way as GBPUSD. It might create one possibility, it might create a double top here in this zone, as there is, you see that this is the 4-hour time frame. There is a very strong doji here. This is a red candle, it's a strong bearish candle, and what I think that euro dollar might create a double top here, okay, and then from this zone we could see that euro dollar is dropping. On the other hand, if I see that euro dollar didn't drop, instead broke to the upside, then we will consider waiting for a possible shorting opportunity from this zone, which is high probability. As you see that this narrow doji on the 4-hour has not been tested yet, so we could see that euro dollar went above, tested this previous resistance as a support as resistance, and then we could see that euro dollar is coming down. So these are the two zones that we will be looking for potential shorting opportunity based on the price section with our students with a high risk to reward ratio. Now let's look at dollar yen, how it is doing. Now starting with the monthly time frame, what you see that this is always I mention in all my analysis, the dollar yen is strongly bullish. Now past month we have seen a very strong bullish candle has been formed. This month still is there, but it's the first week of the month, so there is a possibility of rising on dollar yen. Now looking at the weekly, this is what exactly I told in my previous weekly forex forecast. As you have seen that dollar yen has as I mentioned, the dollar yen, there is a double doji on the weekly time frame, and from this double doji, dollar yen could rise up, and we made money from it. I'm sure that if you saw my previous weekly forex forecast, you also have made money from it. Now at this point, what is likely to happen on dollar yen? If you look at the daily, first of all, let me look at the weekly again. What I think that dollar yen will do, it might come down a little bit, may test this doji from this zone. We could see that dollar yen is rising again. Now looking at the daily time frame, what we see that you see that there is a doji has been formed, quite a few dojis has been formed on dollar yen. And what I think dollar yen, now there is two probability. One high probability that dollar yen will drop down again, breaking all this level, testing this daily 20 period moving average, and from this zone we could see that dollar yen is going up. Another possibility is to open with a gap with a less probability and then continue to rise. So if you look at the intraday or 4-hour time frame, this is what I will be waiting for dollar yen to probably come to this zone. This is the 4-hour time frame, and you see that there is a trend line has been created. If I see that dollar yen broke to the downside, tested this previous this resistance as a support, and from this zone I will be considering going long with dollar yen again with a high risk to reward ratio with our students. Okay guys, so let's look at USDZAR. Now what do we see that on USDZAR? If you look at the bigger picture on the monthly time frame, there is a strong bullish engulfer on the previous months, followed by this month we have seen another bullish candle started to push up. Still, this is only the first week of the month is finished, so it is still a long way to go. But if you look at the monthly trend line, so that is where we can see a primary retracement on the lower time frame on USDZAR, and then we could see possible longing opportunity. Now looking at the weekly, we have seen that USDZAR past week there is a strong bullish engulfer followed by another bullish engulfer. What I think that the way the price action is moving, we might see another bullish candle on USDZAR in the upcoming week. Now looking at the daily, you see that this is the daily time frame, and we have seen that there is a bullish engulfer on the daily as well. So what is likely to happen in the new trading week? What I think that USDZAR could drop to this level of support here. You can see there is a daily resistance here with this one red candle, because it's a big move to the upside followed by this one red candle. So we could see that after a little retracement to the downside, we could potentially see that USDZAR is continuing to the upside. Now if you look at the intraday or 4-hour time frame, this is what I will be doing with our student. I will be waiting for a potential longing opportunity, potential longing price action, bullish price action from this zone to the upside with a high risk to reward ratio with our students. Now let's look at NZDUSD. If you look at the monthly time frame, we see that NZDUSD, as you can see monthly, after the previous month's bearish engulfer, we saw that there is a strong move down on the monthly. Now let's look at weekly, because this is the first week of the month. We might not clearly understand what is likely to happen in the next week from the monthly. Now looking at the weekly, this is where we can see the price action a little more clearly. As you can see that first of all, past week there is a bearish engulfer followed by this doji or a middleman. Now what is likely to happen in the new trading week? What I think that NZDUSD will probably test the around 50% of this long week. So this is the long week, 50%, and from this zone on the daily, if you look at, we could see that NZDUSD is dropping, or even we could see potential drop from here. So what you will be doing on NZDUSD, I will be waiting for a potential shorting opportunity along this zone on the lower time frame with a high risk to reward ratio with our students in NZDUSD. Now let's look at USOIL, how it is doing. Now looking at the first of all bigger picture monthly, now USOIL, as you can see that it was in a big bullish move every month, followed by this month we have seen a bearish candle. Now this month's first week we have seen a doji, is monthly doji, it's not closed, but let's look at the weekly time frame. Now weekly we have seen that after this narrow doji, the past week we have seen a strong move almost to this level of support, and then we have seen a long week candle has been created. So what I think the next week will do, USOIL, probably from this level of resistance we might see that USOIL dropping again to the downside. Now looking at the daily, this is where I think that this thing might happen. You can see that on the daily there was a trend line, long-term trend line on USOIL. Now this trend line, if you look at the past, you see this is acted as support here, support here, support here, support here, and also support here. Now this trend line we see that it might test as a resistance probably with this 20 period moving average, and then from here we could potentially see that US oil is dropping down, and this is where we will be waiting for a potential shorting opportunity on the lower time frame with a high risk to reward ratio with our students. Now let's look at USDCAD, how it might do. Now USDCAD, if you look at the first of all bigger picture monthly time frame, we see that first of all USDCAD past month has created a very strong bullish engulfer. Why it is strong? Because if you look at overall price section, you see that this candle basically crossed the low, crossed the high, closed past all this candle and created this bullish engulfer. Now after this bullish engulfer, what we have seen, as expected, the price went above. Now we can see that USDCAD could come down little bit and could continue to rise. Now looking at the weekly, what we see that USDCAD already has created a bullish engulfer. This is also a bullish price action. You see that there is a big move happen followed by this retracement. We can see another possible big move to the upside. So what is likely to happen in the new trading week? What I think that USDCAD might drop little bit to the downside to this level of support on the weekly, and from here we could potentially see that USDCAD is continue to rise. Looking at the daily, now this is what I think that might happen. You see that there is a daily pin bar to the downside, and what we might see in the new trading week, in the first day or in the second day, we might see the price testing this daily 20 period moving average. If we draw a zone on this daily 20 period moving average on USDCAD, and now if you look at the 4-hour or intraday, what we could see that USDCAD first of all coming down to this level of support, and from here we could potentially see that USDCAD going long, creating a bullish price action to the upside, and then we will consider going long with a high risk to reward ratio. Now, if you draw this trend line on the 4-hour, this is where we can find a potential longing opportunity to the upside with a high risk to reward ratio with our students. Now let's look at AUDCAD. Let's look at first of all bigger picture as usual, then we'll see what might happen. Now as AUDCAD, we saw that this is the first week of the month, this is the monthly candle, there was a big move down. Now the price is retracing to the upside, and what I think that AUDCAD might go up a little bit at some point this week or next week, test this monthly doji bottom of this, and then could continue to drop. Now weekly, if you look at this weekly time frame, what we see that AUDCAD basically after this drop followed by this retracement. Now in this retracement we have seen that this support here didn't fully test this previous support as resistance. So what I think that AUDCAD could do probably will go up to this level, to this zone, and then from here we could see that AUDCAD is dropping, as this support properly has not been tested as resistance yet. So now let's look at daily time frame. Now this is what we see potential trading opportunity. What I think that AUDCAD will do, as you can see that there is a trend line on the daily time frame, and in the new trading week we might see that AUDCAD is rising up to this trend line, and also there is a daily 20 period moving average. This is a very important high area of value, and from this zone we could potentially see that AUDCAD might continue to drop to the downside. So we'll consider going short on AUDCAD from this zone with a high risk to reward ratio with our students. Okay, so let's look at Aussie yen, how we can find a trading opportunity. Now if you look at the monthly time frame, what we see that Aussie yen after the previous month's this shooting star, this month we have seen the price broke this low of the monthly, and then we saw that the bulls now buying. Now as you can see that this is a long-term bullish market. It's a very long-term bullish market. Now previous months has created this shooting star. Now at this point, what we see that the price broke this low, and then now the price is pushing to the upside. So what I think that Aussie yen will continue to rise up for certain level in the next week or later this month. Now if you look at the weekly, we saw that past week has created this candle, which is an inside bar. Now after the previous week's bearish candle, this week we have seen an inside bar. So what is likely to happen? What I think that Aussie yen will do is in the upcoming week, Aussie yen might respect this trend line at the bottom, and then could continue to rise from this zone. So if you look at the daily, what we see, this is what I think that we'll do. First of all, it might drop from here, Aussie yen, as yen getting a little bit of stronger, and then from this zone we could see that Aussie yen is going up. So what we will be doing with our students, we will be waiting for a potential longing opportunity from this zone. As you can see that this is the trend line, the price on the daily time frame creating a series of higher low, and from this zone we will be considering going long on Aussie yen to the upside with a high risk to reward ratio with our students. Now let's look at gold, how we can find a trading opportunity. Now as you can see in my past week's weekly forex forecast, this is what exactly I mentioned, that gold is likely to drop from here. If you haven't watched that, you can watch it. Now gold did exactly as it is, it drops from here, and we made money with our VIP students. Now what is likely to happen in gold next is that let's look at first of all bigger picture, and then we'll see how gold might do. Now looking at the monthly, we see that monthly, this is always I expected in all my analysis. We have seen that gold has created previous months this bearish candle. Now after this bearish candle, we have seen that this month the price started to drop. Now what I think that it might go for a little retracement, but it is still bearish. This is the monthly candle. We still cannot say anything about the monthly candle, as this is only the first week of the month. Now if you look at the weekly, we see a little bit of glue. You can see this is the weekly candle, and this is a very strong move to the downside. Now you see that there is nothing significant support in this zone. So you see that on the weekly, this level, this support level on the weekly time frame has broken. Now what we could potentially see on gold, that it might rise up for a retracement, and then from here we could see that gold is dropping, or even we could see primarily a drop and then could see rise. So looking at the daily, what is likely to happen, you can see that there are back-to-back two daily dojis after this big move. This is still a bearish price action. So what I think gold will do in the new trading week, from this zone we might see a drop, probably along this trend line. Okay, daily trend line, you can see, let me draw this daily trend line. So from this daily trend line, gold probably will rise from this respecting daily trend line, will go up for testing this previous support here. Okay, support here as a resistance, and then we could see that gold is finally again dropping down. So because it's a long-term bearish market, we will never consider going short on long on gold. We will only consider going short on gold from this zone to the downside with a high risk to reward ratio with our students. Now let's look at DXY, how it is doing. Now DXY, we have seen this is the daily chart. Now let's look at first of all bigger picture, monthly time frame. We see that on the monthly, DXY has created a very strong move. Previous months there is a bullish engulfer followed by another bullish candle. Now what I think that DXY now might come for a deeper retracement. Now if you draw a level of resistance on the monthly, this is the red resistance. Let's draw both of this resistance on the monthly to see where we can find a retracement to the lower time frame. Looking at the weekly, we saw that past week there is a long doji has been formed on the weekly, and what I think that DXY this week might come for retracement to this level, previous resistance as support, and then we could see that DXY is going up. Now looking at the daily, now you see that past day, the last day of trading week, we saw that there is a pin bar has been formed. Now this pin bar is at the top, and also it broke this trend line, so it grabbed some liquidity. So what I think that DXY might do, it might drop a little bit to the downside, or it might rise from here. So what I will be doing on the lower time frame, if you look at first of all daily, this is the daily candlestick, it didn't break this previous day's doji's low. You see, this is the previous day's doji's low, and what I will be doing, first of all, I will be considering for longing opportunity along this zone. If I see that this support has not been broken, then I will be considering going long on DXY from this zone on the lower time frame. If I see that this support has been broken, then I will be considering for DXY to come back to the level of support, and from here we'll consider going long on DXY based on price action confirmation with our students. Now let's look at EURCHF. Now looking at the first of all monthly, we saw that EURCHF past month, previous months, there is a bearish engulfer. This is a very long bearish engulfer. Now after this kind of bearish engulfer, we have seen primarily a drop. Now what I think that this is the monthly, the couple of weeks we might see the prices going up, as after this kind of bearish engulfer we can expect now significant retracement to the upside. So with that in mind, the next weekly candle, we have seen that back to back quite a few weeks drop. Now what I think, you see there is a head and shoulder on the weekly time frame. This head and shoulder, or there is a double top, both can be applicable here. Now with this reversal pattern, this is the reversal pattern, you can see that this reversal pattern has not been tested yet. You see that this is the support here, okay, this is the support here, has not been tested as resistance. So you might see that EURCHF now could rise up to test this previous support here as a resistance, and then could continue to drop. Now looking at the daily, you see that EURCHF possible daily bullish candle. You see this candle basically crossed the previous days 2 days candles low and closed as a bullish engulfer. So where we can find a possible longing opportunity on EURCHF, this is what I will be doing. If I see that possible price action, you see on the 4 hour the price has created this double bottom, and now it broke up. So I need to see proper bullish price action from this zone. If I see that the price is creating that kind of bullish engulfer or bullish price action, then we will consider going long on EURCHF to the upside with a high risk to reward ratio with our students. Now let's look at CADJPY. Now looking at the first of all bigger picture on the monthly time frame, we see that monthly CADJPY is very strongly bullish. So it's a very bullish market structure on the monthly. Now what I think that CADJPY will continue to rise up. Now looking at the weekly, we see past week after the previous week's doji, this current week the price broke the low of 2 weeks low and closed as a doji. Now what I think CADJPY might do, it might continue to rise from here with a gap opening, or we might see another drop, probably testing this trend line and then going up. So with that in mind, if you look at the daily time frame, you see daily there is a doji has been formed, there is a pin bar, and every day we see series of higher low has been created. So what I think, it might respect this daily 20 period moving average with this pin bar. We could potentially see that after a little retracement, CADJPY is going up from here, and that is what I will be doing on the lower time frame. We'll be waiting for a possible longing opportunity with our students on CADJPY with a high risk to reward ratio. Now these are the currency pairs. Now let's look at indices, how we can find a possible trading opportunity. Now looking at, first of all, let's see US30, how it is doing. Now if you look at, first of all, bigger picture monthly, we saw that US30 basically after the previous month's big bearish candle, this month we see first week there is a significant retracement. What I think that US30 or these indices might go up further, probably will test this zone. There is a monthly doji, as you can see, and this liquidity zone here, this is the previous support zone here, okay, might be testing as a resistance, and from here we could see that drop. Now looking at the weekly, we can see that past week there is a bullish candle has been formed. So what I think that it might do in the new trading week, it might continue to rise probably to this zone. That is what we are expecting on the monthly doji, and from here we could see that US30 is dropping. Now looking at the daily, you see this is the daily price action on US30 is a possible inverted head and shoulder. You can see that there is a inverted head and shoulder, left shoulder, right shoulder, with this inverted head and shoulder, and from this zone we could potentially see that US30 is rising, and that is what we will be doing possible price action on the lower time frame for going long on US30 to this zone with a high risk to reward ratio with our students. Now looking at US100, the same kind of price action, as you can see that this is the daily chart, and we could potentially see after retracement we could see that US100 also going long with a high risk to reward ratio with our students, as both indices showing the same kind of price action. Now let's look at cryptocurrencies, BTCUSD and Ethereum USD. Now BTC, as you can see that after a big drop, now BTC moving in a sideway. Looking at the weekly, we see that the past week BTC USD has created this bullish candle. Now what I think that BTC USD could do, it could move probably in a sideway for an extended period of time, and then we might see that either bearish or bullish. So for that reason, I will be probably I will not be trading this week BTC USD unless I see a dramatic move, because this kind of market is not probably a good idea to trade. So what I will be doing on BTC USD, I will be keep observing price action to see what's happening. If we see that further breakdown, then we might consider going, selling BTC USD. Otherwise we will be observing BTC USD to see what happens. So what I think that BTC USD might just consolidate in between this support and resistance for an extended period of time before going up or down. So this is what I will be doing with BTC USD, just observing Ethereum USD the same way. So we will be waiting for a possible price action to see how it is doing. Now these are the pairs, cryptocurrencies, indices and forex pairs that we will be considering. And also, if in addition to this, if we see further pairs that is giving us trading opportunity, definitely we will not miss that opportunity. Okay guys, so in the meantime, if you want to learn my strategies and also receive the trade signal like that, I will suggest you to join our mentorship program, where you will be learning my strategies and also receiving trade signal like that. Then there is a link in the description area, you can check it out. There is a discount going on which is ending soon. So this is it guys, hopefully I will see you in my live stream. Thank you for watching. See you soon in my next video.